Okay, so I drew the stem of the pear in the same manner that I drew the rest of the pear, and I just filled it in with the color, um, and the color, again, I just filled it in by using the eyedropper tool and coming over here and picking a color. Actually pick that brown. And you see, you may notice, I'm going to turn off my background photo image. You see a couple bumps in the image, and those may be due to the actual fruit being bumpy, and or it may be due to the poor tracing that I did. I just did that kind of quick. That's okay. I can fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'll just click on my pear, and you see all the handles come up, and I'm just using the direct selection tool, and I can adjust those handles out and in to make the curves a little bit more appealing, a little bit more rounded. The other thing is, I have the stem here. I may or may not want it on top like that. So I'm going to go to my regular selection tool and click on my stem, and if I want it to the back, I can go Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and it goes to the back. Now I might change that later on, but you have that option there. Another nice thing, under layers, you can notice here the path of the pear that I drew is in there, and the path of the stem is in there. So I can rearrange those by going under layers and dragging them up and down as well. I also have my photo layer. I just turned it off so I don't see it, and it's locked as well, so I can't mess it up, hopefully. Another thing you can do if you want to make this look a little bit, have a little bit more pop, you can go to Window Gradient, and this opens the gradient panel. Now in the gradient panel, looks pretty plain at this point. We have a gradient panel over here on the right, and over here on the left I have a gradient tool. It goes like black to white. If I want to use the gradient tool, well, first of all, let me take that color of the pear. I kind of like that color. I'm going to drag it from the fill to the swatches. There's a couple of ways to do this, but I'm just going to drag that fill to the swatches. You could also click on the little option menu on the swatches panel and go New Swatch, and it automatically chooses that color for you. You see it is a CMYK color because that's the mode I'm in. You could change that to a spot color here if you wanted. I'm just going to hit OK. So that's my color. I'm going to drag that color to the gradient. So this is one way to do it. There's many others, and you can choose your own way to do this. And you see now I have that pear, like a light source is hitting it from the left side, and it gets lighter to darker. In the gradient panel, you can also change the gradient to be a radial gradient. If I select the pear, change it to radial gradient, you see that that takes effect. The other thing you can do is use the gradient tool, and it does a similar thing. It just, let me select my pear first. Sometimes that's a tricky part of this. Select your object, then grab it with the gradient tool, and you can actually adjust the gradient by just clicking and dragging with that gradient tool, and it can give that effect to it. Now the other thing you might want to do is change the color. And you can also adjust the sliders up underneath, as you see I'm doing here, as well as the slider on top. Just indicates how the white and the color react. I can double click the gradient slider, and if you have another version of the software, this may look a little different, but it brings up the color panel, and you can add to that color panel, you can actually change that slider so that it's a different color. So you can make that a darker color, for example. So I could actually go from white to the color I chose, and then I could add another slider and make that a darker color. It's really endless possibilities to this, and if you want to duplicate a color, you can hold the Option key down while you're dragging one of these sliders, and it will duplicate the color as well. So like I say, there's endless possibilities to this, and just experiment and try it for yourself.